dekhiya mora paramahanand Shuddha Bhakta Saranarenu Bhajananu Kula Prasada Sheva Horite Hoya Shakala Brahmana Jaya Chaitanya Grihe Bhajana Dekhi Grihete Golok Bhaya Charana Sidhu Dekhiya Ganga Shukana Simha Aya Tulasi Dekhi Judaya Prana Madhavato Sanijani Gaura Priya Shaka Shivani Jivanosha Takamani Bhakti Vinoda Krishna Bhajane Anukula Ayaja Prati Jivashe Paramasuke Svikara Kara Hitara Shuddha Bhakta Saranarenu Bhajananu Kula Jaya Gaura Hari Jaya Gaura Hari Jaya Gaura Hari Jaya Gaura Hari Thus, from the lotus feet of pure devotees is conducive to devotional service, while service to the Vaishnavas is itself the supreme perfection and the root of the tender creeper of divine love.
I observe with great care the holy days like Ekadashi and Janmashtami, for they are the matter of devotion. As my dwelling place, I choose with the greatest reverence and love the transcendental abode of Sri Krishna.
All those places where my Lord Sundar traveled for pastime, I will visit in the company of loving devotees.
Numero 4.
My mind always begs for an opportunity to hear the music of Tridandi. From hearing the kind of kirtan ordained by Lord Gaurachandra, my heart dances in ecstasy.
By beholding the deities born of the divine couple, Ch.Ch. Radha Krishna, I feel the greatest joy. By honoring the Lord Prasada, I conquer all the worldly illusions.
Golok Vrindavan appears in my home whenever I see the worship and service of Lord Hari going on there. Upon seeing the Ganges, which is a river of nectar emanating from the lotus feet of the Lord, my happiness knows no bounds.
The sight of the holy tulsi tree soothes my soul, for I know she gives pleasure to Lord Krishna by honoring Shak, the great leafy vegetable preparation, a dear favorite of Lord Chaitanya. I consider life worthwhile.
Ultima.
Whatever Bhakti Vinoda of times that is conducive for the service of Sri Krishna, he accepts every day with the greatest of joy.
Joy. Hare Krishna. Joy. Mahaprabhu ki jai. Pardon?
We are live.
Oh.
Facebook and YouTube.
Lost my place now. Sorry. Right. Reading Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. We're reading from chapter 9. I believe this is Antya Leela, the deliverance of Gopinath Patanayak. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda. Jai Dvaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. The 9th chapter is summarized as follows. Gopinath Patanayak, the son of Bhavanand Roy, was engaged in the service of the government, but he misappropriated some funds from the treasury. Therefore, the Badajana, the eldest son of King Prataparudra, ordered that he be punished by death. Thus, Gopinath Patanayak was raised on the Changa to be killed, but by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was delivered. Moreover, he was even promoted to a higher post. Aganya Dhanna Chaitanya Kananam Prema Vanyaya Ninde Dhanya Janashvanda Maru Shashvadanupatam. The innumerable glorious followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought a constant flood to the desert-like hearts of the unfortunate with an inundation of ecstatic love. Jai Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Dayamai Jai Jai Nityananda Karuna Hriday. All glories to Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the most merciful incarnation. All glories to Lord Nityananda, whose heart is always compassionate. Jaya Dvaita Charya Jaya Jaya Dayamai Jaya Gaura Bhaktagan Shobha Rasamai. All glories to Advaita Acharya, who is very merciful. All glories to the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who are always overwhelmed by transcendental bliss. Ei Matta Mahaprabhu Bhaktagana Sange Nilachale Vashakorin Krishna Prema Range. Thus, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lived at Nilachal, Jagannath Puri, with his personal devotees, always merged in ecstatic love for Krishna. Antare Bahire Krishna Viraha Taranga Nana Bhave Vyakul Prabhur Mana Ara Anga. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu always felt waves of separation from Krishna, externally and internally. His mind and body were agitated by various spiritual transformations. Dine Nitta Kirtan Jagannath Darshan Ratre Raya Swarup Prashani Rasa Ashvadan. During the day he chanted, danced and saw Lord Jagannath in the temple. At night he tasted transcendental bliss in the company of Ramanand Roy and Swarup Damodar. Trijogot Teralok Oshi Korina Darshan Jai Dekki Se Pai Krishna Prema Dhan. People from the three worlds used to come and visit Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anyone who saw him received the transcendental treasure of love for Krishna. Manushya Vaishya Dev Gandharva Kinor Shapta Pataler Jotta Doitya Vishwadhar. The inhabitants of the 7 higher planetary systems, including the demigods, the Gandharvas and the Kinnaras, and the inhabitants of the 7 lower planetary systems, Patala Lok, including the demons and serpentine living entities, all visited Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the dress of human beings. Shuptati Penavakhande Foise Jotto Jan Nanabeshe Oshikore Prabhura Darshan. Dressed in different ways, people from the 7 islands and 9 khandas visited Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prahlad, Boli, Vyasa, Shuk, Adi Munigan, Ashi Prabhu Dekki, Prema Hoya Ochitan. Prahlad Maharaj, Bali Maharaj, Vyasadeva, Shukadeva Goswami, and other great sages came to visit Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Upon seeing him, they became unconscious in ecstatic love for Krishna. Purport: according to the opinion of some historians, Prahlada Maharaja was born in Treta Yuga in the city of Multan, in the state of Punjab. He was born of Hiranyakashipu, a king of the dynasty of Kashyapa. Prahlad Maharaj was a great devotee of Lord Vishnu, but his father was very much against Vishnu. Because the father and son thus differed in their consciousness, the demon father inflicted all kinds of bodily pain upon Prahlad. When this torture became intolerable, the Supreme Lord appeared as Nrsimhadeva and killed the great demon Hiranyakashipu. Yeah. By the way, did you know that it's mentioned about that Hiranyakashipu had, I think it was 4 sons, and Prahlad was one of them. Prahlada, and there was their names are very similar, like Pramana, Prasiddha, something like that. And he was Prahlada. He was among them. He was the best, the devotee, pure devotee.
Was it because of Narada Muni, who was reading Bhagavatam to his mother, who was captive?
Yes, indeed. That's right. Yeah. Which proves that you can attain the perfection of Christian consciousness by hearing. You know, there's 9, hearing, chanting, remembering, worshipping the deity. 9. And this verse, Shravan Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam Dasam Shakam Admi Veda. This verse is Prahlad Maharaj's verse. He spoke that verse. That's where it comes from. When he was, when his father asked him, "My boy, what is the best? What have you learned? What have you learned in your life so far?" And he said that Shravanam Kirtan, this hearing about the Lord, chanting, praying, worshipping, etc. This is the best form of life, devotional service. And so Hiranyakashipu was very much against Vishnu. Yeah, they know about Vishnu actually. Yes, but he was very against him. So it's a little bit different. Sometimes when we think of an asura, we think asura is like a demon, yeah? It is a demon, you know. Asura, sura means devotee, and asura means non-devotee. So, but this Hiranyakashipu was very learned, like Ravan also, like that. Like in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, before the pastimes with Prahlad, when Hiranyakashipu was, what's the word, terrorizing the whole universe, yeah. So he had a discussion with Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma came to him and offered him benediction because of his tapasya. And he said, no one so far has ever performed tapasya like you, and no one in the future will do so. He's so great. He was standing on one leg, you see, his hands up like this, for like long time, years and years, And in the end, his whole body was eaten away by insects. And his only skeleton, he's keeping his life by his skeleton inside the bones. He's moving his prana shakti around the bone. This way he's continuing, not dying. And he got immense power from his tapasya, and all the fire is coming from his head and scorching the planets, scorching the upper planets. So that's when the demigods went to Lord Brahma and said, we can't tolerate the heat, can you do something? So Lord Brahma said, yeah, and he gave him benediction. The benedictions, he gave him many things, yeah. And in that talk between Brahma and Hiranyakashipu, you can see Hiranyakashipu is very learned, very, very learned. He's talking about the Vedas and many things. And yet he's an asura, he's a demon. Yeah. And the other day I was reading in Bhagavad Gita, 10th canto, 10th chapter, where it's called, in Srila Swami Maharaj's Gita, called The Opulence of the Absolute. Do you know that, 10th canto? 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita? Can you understand what I'm saying? Partly. Partialmente. But in that chapter, Arjuna asked to Krishna, you see, the 9th chapter is called the most confidential knowledge. And then in the 10th chapter, Arjuna's asking to Krishna, can you, Lord, please tell me how I am to see you in the creation, in your creation, to understand you. By what manifestations can I understand you, your greatness? So in the 10th chapter, Krishna is saying many things, like I am adventure, I am the strength of the strong, among the fishes I am the shark, among the animals I am a lion. So the best of every aspect of life, every species or every element, etc. That represents Krishna. Krishna says, I am represented there. You can understand something about my greatness. But at the end, he says, Yad yad vibhuti mat sattvam, Srimad ujitam eva tad eva gachatvam, mana tejas masambhavam. But after going through so many things, he says, what is it not necessary that I say, I am this, I am this, I am this? Just with a single spark of my energy, I maintain the whole universe. So that for Krishna is not probably, it's not an effort. That he will be expanding his energy to create everything, to maintain everything. And by this he'll become very exhausted, like tired, And like in the Bible says, God took rest on the Sabbath. That's today, actually. Right? Because he created the universe in 6 days and he was very tired. So he rested. It's a concept, yeah? That's giving the human beings the opportunity to have a day where they can devote fully or not do ordinary work and devote themselves to thinking about God, to prayer, service, meditation, etc. But in this case, no, Krishna, he just, as Supreme Lord, he creates everything as if just by his desire, yes? And then everything is done like this. So,
by being, he inspires Brahma, and then Brahma creates because he cannot resist but create after seeing such an amazing scene.
Yeah, but actually Lord Brahma, he's supposed to be the like Rajagun, the icon of Rajagun. Rajagun means activity. Creation, yeah. In the Tamagun there's no activity. In the Sattvagun there's no activity. Or the Tamagun and the Sattvagun, they look something similar, but it's totally different. One is the inertia of ignorance and darkness, and one is the Vasudeva, the consciousness, pure consciousness. Yeah, and in the middle there's activity, rajas. So Lord Brahma, he had that tendency or that inclination or that urge to create. So you know how that came about. He meditated and he had his inspiration. And it's also mentioned here Kashyapa, but that might be different. It says that Hiranyakashipu Prahlad was born of Hiranyakashipu, a king of the dynasty of Kashyapa. But there's Kashyapa Muni also. Yeah. And one time Guru Maharaj said the Caspian Sea is named after him. Caspian Sea, it's up in the... because he had his ashram there, Kashyapa Muni.
One of the first sons of Brahma, Kashyapa.
Is it?
I'm asking.
I don't know. It could be, yeah. And so Bali Maharaj was the grandson of Prahlad Maharaj. The son of Prahlad Maharaj was Virochan, and his son was known as Bali. Appearing as Vaman and begging Bali Maharaj for 3 feet of land, the Lord took possession of the entire 3 worlds. Thus Bali Maharaj became a great devotee of Lord Vaman. Bali Maharaj had 100 sons, of whom Maharaj Bana was the eldest and most famous. So Bali Maharaj, he defied his guru, right? He was disobedient to his guru. His guru was Shukracharya. Shukracharya is the guru of the Asuras, but he's also vastly learned. And that I discovered in Bhagavad Gita, actually, last night. That was in the 10th chapter, I was telling you. And it says there, Kavi Ushana Kavi is the last line in one of the shlokas. And this Krishna saying, among great thinkers, I'm Ushana. And Swami Maharaj says in the commentary, Ushana is Shukracharya. So, and he says that the person is like a muni, a person who can think very deeply about any subject and cover all aspects and penetrate very deeply into it. He's called a muni or a kavi. So this Ushana is Shukracharya, who was very great. But Bali Maharaj, he defied him because Shukracharya told him, don't worship this Vaman, this dwarf, brahmachari, because he knew he was Vishnu. And so that's another story. So Vyasadeva was the son of the great sage Parashara. Other names for him are Satyavateya and Krishna Dvaipayan Badarayana Muni. As one of the authorities on the Vedas, he divided the original Veda for convenience into 4 divisions, which are... Do you know? Ask the ladies. 4 Vedas, the names of them. One is Rig Veda. Can you remember? Rig, Sama, Jajur, and Atharva. It's 4 Vedas. They have all different functions, so dealing with different aspects of Vedic knowledge. So this Vyasadeva, every yuga, every kalpa, there's a Vyasadeva. There's not one person. It's like a post. If we say like Prime Minister or President, It's not like one person, it's changing, right? So it's a position. So the one of this time, this Kalpa, who wrote, compiled the Vedas, he's called Krishna Dvaipayan Veda Vyasa. Veda Vyasa is like a title. So Krishna Dvaipayan, he heard the, or he was inspired to compile Srimad Bhagavatam by his guru, Narad, you know. And he wrote 18 Puranas and the theosophical thesis, Brahma Sutra. It's another name for Vedanta Sutra, also called Brahma Sutra. And its natural commentary, Srimad Bhagavatam. He belongs to the Brahma Sampradaya and is a direct disciple of Narad Muni. So the Vedanta Sutra is a way to understand, because the 4 Vedas, they're very, very big, very long, and it's quite difficult to understand them unless you have a background in Vedic cosmology, theology, and so on. So after that, Vyasadeva, he compiled Vedanta Sutra. So all the knowledge of the Vedas is compressed like that into Vedanta Sutra. And Sutra is from the English word sucha, is a thread, yes? In English we say, like when you go, if you have and you go in the hospital and they make stitches, it's called a stitch, you know, when they do that. So another name for stitch is sutra, sucha in English, S-U-T-U-R-E. This is where, coming from the word sutra. So sutra means like a thread, and on that thread is holding together a very big message or a very big lot of information, isn't it? In a small space. So the Vedanta Sutra it's a compressed form of Vedic knowledge. And so the first one is Atato Brahma Jigyasa, means now, as a human being, is the time to understand our position, who we are, what we are, where we are, and where we come from, and where we are going to. And that's a huge subject, of course. But Atato Brahma Jigyasa is a very small saying.
Interesting. The Dvaipayan Vyasa, he compiled 4 Vedas, but then I was wondering who he left them for, because in Kali Yuga there is no Brahmanas, so there's only Shudras, and Shudras are forbidden to study Vedas. And there was an example of when Lord Ramachandra was going and he saw a Shudra studying Vedas, and he beheaded him, because in the long run, if the Shudras study Vedas, they would come up with something disastrous in the future. So Vedas are left for someone, but obviously no one nowadays can study them. So what are they compiled for, and for whom then?
I don't know. No, actually, yeah, you're right. In Kali Yuga, chant Hare Krishna. That's the most important thing, yeah. I mean, those who have capacity to study, or Vedanta Sutra, but the natural commentary on Vedanta Sutra is Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's very interesting. You have the Veda, and compressed into Vedanta Sutra, and then again expanded, Srimad Bhagavatam. So it's coming out more and more. Veda is like the tree, arboro, tree is the Veda. And then on the tree you have the branches, and then coming on you have the flores. That's like Vedanta Sutra. So you can say like the essence of the tree, is coming in the form of the flower, right? But the flower, you can't taste it. It looking nice. It look very nice. Whoa, very nice. But that looking nice is like intellectual appreciation. But the tasting, that is only the fruit, the frutas. So the frutus comes out from the flower, then the fruit. And that is, so Vedanta Sutra, like the flower, explanation of Vedic truth in intellectual form, and the fruit is Srimad Bhagavatam. That's what you taste, the rasam, yeah? Krishna Leela, Krishna's pastimes, and everything about Krishna. Bahire pukare lok darshana no pana Krishna ka balena Prabhu bahire oshiya. Being unable to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the people outside his room would make a tumultuous sound. Thus, the Lord would go outside and tell them, chant Hare Krishna. Prabhur darshane shaba loka preme bhashe e mat jayo Prabhu ratri divashe. All kinds of people would come to see the Lord, and upon seeing him they would be overwhelmed with ecstatic love for Krishna. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed his days and nights. Ek din lok hoshi Prabhu re Ek din lok hoshi Prabhu re nivedilo Gopinate re baddha jan change chodayilo. One day people suddenly came to the Lord and informed him, Gopinath Patanayak, the son of Bhavan Roy, has been condemned to death by the Baddha Jana, the eldest son of the king, and has been raised on the Changa. Purport, just in case you're interested about this, Changa was a device for killing a condemned person. It consisted of a raised platform on which the condemned was made to stand. Underneath the platform there were stationary upright swords. The condemned man would be pushed down onto the swords, and in this way he would die. I think so. For some reason, Gopinath Patanayak had been condemned to death and had therefore been raised upon the Changa. The Bhadajan has placed swords beneath the platform, they said, and will throw Gopinath upon them. O Lord, only if you protect him will he be saved. So this Gopinath Patanayak was the son of Bhavan and Roy, so they were right Hindus. Okay, so it seems that the Bhadda Jana, the eldest son of the king, the Shah, Muslim king, he was envious, or he created some pretext that this person has stolen money and he should be killed.
He joked badly about him because he had this habit, the king's son has a habit to...
Oh, you know this story, you've read it. Oh. You've ruined it for me. No, I'll just read it anyway. Yeah, okay, that's after, yeah, okay. Bhavan and Roy and his entire family are your servants. Therefore it is quite fitting for you to save his son, the son of Bhavan and Roy. Prabhu ke Raj ke ne kore dhadan thabishe lokka shobha vivaran. Why is the king chastising him? Then the people described the entire incident. They said, Gopinath Patanayak, the brother of Raman and Roy, has always been a treasurer for the government. He served in the place known as Malajatya Dandapat, soliciting and collecting money there and depositing it in the government treasury. Once when he deposited the collection, however, a balance of 200,000 kahanas of conch shells was due from him. Therefore the king demanded this sum. But Gopinath Patanayak replied, "There's no money I can immediately give you in cash. Please give me time. Gradually I shall purchase and sell my gross goods, and in this way fill your treasury. There are 10 to 12 good horses. Take them immediately for a proper price." After saying this, he brought all the horses to the door of the king. One of the princes knew how to estimate the price of horses very well. Thus the king sent for him to come with his ministers and friends. The prince, however, purposely gave a reduced estimate for the value of the horses. When Gopinath Patanaik heard the price quoted, he was very angry. That prince has a personal idiosyncrasy of turning his neck and facing the sky, looking here and there again and again. Gopinath Patanaik criticized the prince. He was unafraid of the prince because the king was very kind towards him. Gopinath Patanaik said, "My horses never turn their necks or look upward. Therefore the price for them should not be reduced." It's very insulting, isn't it? But he only said it because he knew he was cheating him, giving a lower price. So he was angry about that. So, that's... Hearing this criticism, the prince became very angry. Going before the king, he made some false allegations against Gopinath Patanaik. This Gopinath Patanaik, he said, is unwilling to pay the money due. Instead, he's squandering it under some pretext. If you issue an order, I can put him on the chunga and thus realize the money. Because they would kill him and then seize all his assets. The king replied, "You can adopt whatever means you think best. Any device by which you can somehow or other realize the money is all right." Thus the prince went back, raised Gopinath Patanaik onto the platform of the chunga and spread swords below upon which to throw him. After hearing this explanation, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied with affectionate anger, "Gopinath Patanaik does not want to pay the king the money that is due," the Lord said. "How then is the king at fault in punishing him?" Gopinath is in charge of collecting money on behalf of the government, but he misappropriates it. Not fearing the king, he squanders it to see dancing girls. If one is intelligent, let him perform service to the government, and after paying the government, he can spend whatever money is left. So it seems like he's going to save him, but he's just kind of creating some, how do you say, playing, with the devotees, saying, well, yeah, the king's right to punish him because if he's been misappropriating funds. At that time, another person came there in great haste, bringing the news that Vaninath Rai and his entire family had been arrested. Prabhu kahe, Raj apane lekar drovra laiba, ami birokto shonyashi tohi ki koriba. The Lord said, the king must personally realize the money that is due. I am but a sannyasi, a member of the renounced order. What can I do? Then all the devotees headed by Swarup Damodar Goswami fell at the lotus feet of the Lord and submitted the following plea. Ramananda Rayar Goshti Shaba Tomar Das Tomar Uchita Nahi Aichana Udas. All the members of Ramanand Rai's family are your eternal servants. Now they are in danger. It's not befitting for you to be indifferent to them in this way. So they're all a family. Bhavananda Rai, Ramanand Rai, Vaninath Rai. They're all relations and they're all working for the government of Hussain Shah. Shuni Mahaprabhu kai Sakrodha Vachane Maurya Deho Shabi Jogo Rajasthani. After hearing this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke in an angry mood. You want to order me to go to the king, he said. Your opinion is that I should go to the king's palace and spread my cloth to beg money from him. Of course, a sannyasi or brahmana may beg for up to 5 gandas, but why should he be granted the inappropriate sum of 200,000 kahanas of conch shells? Then another person came with the news that Gopinath had already been set up to be thrown upon the points of the swords. Hearing this news, all the devotees again appealed to the Lord, but the Lord replied, I am a beggar. It is impossible for me to do anything about this. Ami bhikshuk ama hoite kichu noi. Therefore, if you want to save him, you should all pray together at the lotus feet of Jagannath. Lord Jagannath is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He possesses all potencies. Therefore, he's able to act freely and can do and undo whatever he likes. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied in this way, an officer named Hari Chandan Patra went to the king and spoke with him. Right, so the Lord he sort of refused to help, or said, I can't help. I'm a sannyasi, what can I do? I don't get involved with these things. If you can't expect me to go to the king and spread my cloth out, like, begging, from the king. King is pounds, shillings and pence man. And I'm not supposed to be associating with such people. So, but this Hari Chandan Patra, he could see that the Lord was actually compassionate and did, want to help, but was unable to personally help. So he went to the king and said to the king, Gopinath Patanaik Sevak Tomar, he's your servant. Sevak, we say Sevak. We're supposed to be Sevaks, yeah? But Sevak means good, good servant. He's saying he's your faithful servant. To condemn a servant to death is not good behavior. His only fault is that he owes some money to the government. If he's killed, what profit will there be? The government will be the loser, for it will not get the money. It would be better to take the horses for a proper price and let him gradually repay the balance. Why are you killing him unnecessarily? Raja kahe, ei baat ami nahi jani, pran ke kene laiba, thara drovya chahi ami. The king answered in surprise, I didn't know about all this. Why should his life be taken? I only want the money from him. So it's not so much that he was cheating the government, actually, as the son had said. It's just he couldn't pay the money, didn't have the money at the time. And he had promised to pay it back gradually. So the king said, I didn't know about that. So I just want the money and shouldn't kill him. Go there and adjust everything. I want only the payment, not his life. Harichandan then returned and informed the prince of the king's desire. And immediately Gopinath Patanaik was taken down from the Changa. Then he was told that the king demanded the money due him and the king asked what means he would adopt to pay it. Kindly take my horses, he replied, for a proper price. I shall gradually pay the balance as I can. Without consideration, however, you're going to take my life. What can I say? Then the government took all the horses for a proper price. A time was set for payment of the balance, and Gopinath Patanaik was released. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired from the messenger, what was Vaninath doing when he was arrested and brought there? So it seems like all the family are all devotees. Obviously, Ramanand Rai, his brother, and very dear to Mahaprabhu. So the messenger replied, he was fearlessly, incessantly chanting the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. He counted the chants on the fingers of both hands, and after he'd finished chanting 1,000 times, he would make a mark on his body. Hearing this news, the Lord was very pleased. Who can understand the mercy of the Lord upon his devotee? At that time, Kashi Mishra came to the residence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the Lord talked with him with some agitation. Kashi Mishra was a devotee, and he was responsible for arranging for the devotees' accommodation and prasad and everything else when they would come from Bengal to Puri. So he was obviously quite close to the king. And and the Lord said, Mahaprabhu said, Ihan lohite na nori jamu alananath nana upadrava ihan na paisoyat. Upadrava means disturbances. There are too many disturbances here. The Lord said, I cannot stay here any longer, and I can't get any rest, so I shall go to Alalanath. All the family members of Bhavan and Roy are engaged in government service, but they spend the government's revenue in various ways. What is the fault on the part of the king? He wants the government's money. However, when they are punished for failing to pay the government its due, they come to me to release them. When the king put Gopinath Patanaik on the Chunga, messengers came 4 times to inform me about the incident. As a beggar sannyasi, a mendicant, I wish to live alone in a solitary place, but these people come to tell me about their unhappiness and disturb me. Jagannath has saved him once from death today, but if tomorrow he again doesn't pay what he owes the treasury, who will give him protection? If I hear about the activities of materialistic persons, my mind becomes agitated. There's no need for me to stay here and be disturbed in that way. Kashimishakaye Prabhu Dhoriya Charani Tumi Kene Bat Dekcho Karamani. Kashimisha caught hold of the Lord's lotus feet and said, why should you be agitated by these affairs? You are a renounced sannyasi. What connections do you have? One who worships you for some material purpose is blind to all knowledge. So, a sannyasi is supposed to be like equal to everyone and see all people as equally and be equal to the opposites, the duality, happiness, distress, victory, defeat, loss, gain. But here the Lord is saying, my mind becomes agitated when I hear about all these materialistic people and their dealings. It just shows, right? We're persons, not dead stones. Kashi Mishra continued, if one engages in devotional service for your satisfaction, this will result in his increasingly awakening his dormant love for you. But if one engages in your devotional service for material purposes, he should be considered a number 1 fool. So devotional service should never be seen as like a career, a job. So, some people, they're professional preachers for money. And then when that man, he was doing the Bhagavat Sapta, reading the Bhagavatam for 7 days, big crowd of people, like they do in India. And these pundits, they travel around and they reading, and they're big in a pandal, and thousands of people coming. And they were giving dakshin, so he got a lot of money. So one person, when he went to Gaur Kishore Babaji, and he said, oh, this Pandit so-and-so, I think he's a good person, like a devotee. And Gaur Kishore said, you heard Bhagavat, but I only heard money, money, money. So it's true, So one shouldn't do devotional service for material goal or material purpose. It should be for the satisfaction of the Lord. Yat karoshi, yat ashnashi, yat jahosi dadasi yat tapasyasi konteya, tad kurushva madarpanam. O son of Kunti, yat karoshi, whatever you do, yat ashnashi, whatever you eat, Yat Karusha is not. Yat Jehoshi, whatever you offer to someone, Dadashiyat, and whatever you give away, Yat Tapashasi Konteya, and whatever tapasya you do, whatever austerity or sacrifice or anything, self-restriction you perform, you should do that as an offering to me, not for a material purpose, to increase your material wealth or strength or health or anything else. Yeah, so that's it. It is only for your sake that Ramanand Rai resigned from the governorship of South India and Sanatana Goswami gave up his post as minister. And Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, you see, we're told that they were working for the Muslim government in Bengal. And Srila Prabhupada said they had practically become Muslims. But I don't know, I haven't read, does that mean, I was wondering myself, does that mean they were eating meat like that? I don't know. They changed their names, Dabir Kash and Shakar Malik, Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. Obviously they were following Muslim customs in the court of the Shah, the king. And, yeah, what do you say?
I heard that during that time, the Muslims were doing this type of initiation. They were like rushing into the villages, capturing all the Hindus, and they were making them Muslims.
Right.
I think they were like feeding them cow meat and like some ritual after which the Hindu is considered a Muslim.
Right.
Even though they were born in a
Yeah.
somehow or another the arrangement happened in such a way that they had to like become Muslims.
Right.
But they still were have an inclination towards. Remember when I think the Birkas when he called sick, and when the king sent somebody to check, he was with.
That was Sanatana Goswami,
with pandits.
And he was reading the Bhagavatam or something.
Yeah. So even though he was a Muslim, his inner inclination was.
Yeah. So when he came to Lord Chaitanya, Sanatana Goswami, he felt very bad. He said he always was saying, "I'm very fallen." Nicha jati means nich means low, jati birth. My birth is very low. Or ami durjan, I mean like a bad person. And I've, because he have association with the Muslim culture, and also when he got the disease in the jungle and his body was having boils and pus, but every time they meet, Lord Chaitanya embraced him by force. And he's no, and Lord Chaitanya embraced him like this, and the pus is going on the body of Lord Chaitanya, and he couldn't tolerate it. Sanatana Goswami. So finally, he decided, I shall kill myself, commit suicide. So he had this plan. He will throw himself under the wheel of the Rath Yatra, the big wheel. It's like 12 feet high. So definitely, if you put yourself on the ground and the wheel will go over you, it will crush you. Maybe even chop you in half. I don't know. So this was his intention. But Lord Chaitanya is a Paramatma, super soul. He knows everything. So next time they met, he said to Sanatana, "Oh, Sanatana, what is this? You came to me, you did a full dandavat, and you surrendered to me. Your body, your mind, your words. Now your body is my property. So why you want to abuse my property? It's not your property anymore. It's my property. So give up this idea, wrong idea." Which he did. Of course, I had to finish. It went so quickly, didn't it? Having such fun. We only got this part,
We were helping the king to
yeah.
organize the military attacks on
Hindu settlements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it got really bad, and so bad. Like,
Yeah.
This like a bad person as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So essentially, Kashi Mishra is trying to convince Mahaprabhu to stay in Puri. Don't go to Alananath, you know. And well, you can read more later. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. But we could read more, but I mean, we're doing regulated devotional service, not spontaneous, right? Yeah, we have to stop. What, you sing, yeah? Hari Haraye Namah Krishna Yanamai Namah Madhvaya Madhvaya Krishna Gadadhar Shivashani Gaura Bhakti Vrinda Jai Rup Sanatan Bhakta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhakta Tatsa Raghunath Jai Go Jai Gani Charanam Vandan Ganga Onne Minanaka Habishta Puran Jai Go Jai Gani Chandadan Panchavat Adharinu Ora Panchaka Tandara Charana Shevi Bhakta Shame Vasa Janname Janname Mohan Hey Abhilash Chai Kolchai Aj Panje Koloba Shri Shri Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash Anande Bolo Hari Ajja Vrindavan Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majayaman Shri Guru Vaishnava Padma Koreyan Harinam Sankirtan Kahi Naratam Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Gaura Haribo, 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 Jai Gaura Haribo. Joy. Jai. 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 Joy. Joy. Jai. Haribo.